Welcome everyone, Monica here. Today I will be sharing some personal readings I have done recently with regards to some personal matters that I've been struggling with. And I've done these readings using an oracle that I recently obtained. And I kind of feel like that's one way to test any new deck that comes into my life, just put it to work essentially. So the oracle that I've worked with exclusively for these questions is the Inner Compass Oracle by Heather Hoeps. I came across this little gem. It is tiny, it is little, but it is a bit of a treasure of an oracle deck. I came across this on Shana Dee's channel. She shared it in one of her videos a while back, and I really loved the look of this, so I ordered it from Europe. I believe it came from Germany, and it wasn't too expensive. I can't remember how much I paid, but I actually got 2 copies of this because I really wanted to have a spare because I love it so much. So, all that being said, recently I've been having some challenges, and they come and go. It's not something that stays for a long while, and this is a bit of a personal journey of mine. In particular, now that I'm in my late 40s, I've been experiencing some, I believe, are symptoms of perimenopause related to hormonal shifts and changes, and I've really been struggling with that. Now, as I said, this isn't like a constant thing. It seems to ebb and flow, come and go. So I'll have, a few weeks when it's all good, no issues, and then a few days where it's not just my mood, I would say that my outlook on life dips. And to put it more, I've thought about this and I've pinpointed it even further. And what it's come down to, I believe, is some of my personal beliefs that I adopted in my childhood or very early in my adolescence, in my early teenage years, which are incredibly negative about myself and the world. They're surfacing, and it comes out of nowhere, and it absolutely floors me for a few days. I'm talking like severe self-doubt, negativity, as well as low energy, low moods. I would say skirting on the boundary of depression. I've had some experience of that a long time ago, so I kind of know the terrain a little bit. That being said, it doesn't last, so I would say, after a week, maybe 2 weeks, I haven't kept like a journal of this. I'm just kind of trying to explain it as best as I can so you understand where my questions come from for these spreads that I'm going to share. So for that period of time, it's like there's like a severe dip. I've been here before, like I said a while back, and I remember when I actually stopped my medication. I was put on 3 medications in my mid to late 20s, being antidepressants, tranquilizers, and sleeping pills. And before anyone jumps to, have a go at the psychology and the pharmaceutical industry, I was really borderline in this world. So it was needed to kind of keep me afloat. But the thing was, I realized that I did not like what it was doing to my body and my mind. So after a while, I stopped all three, which is so not recommended. And I remember emailing my therapist at the time and saying that I felt like, before, when I was on medication, I was walking through like a flat terrain that had no life in it. And then going off everything all at once, I felt like I had fallen into a crevasse. Like, that was the only way I could describe it. And so when these periods of a few days or a couple of weeks surface up, that's what it feels like. It feels like I fall on this crevasse and perspective is lost. And it's pretty rough. Now, I'm not the sort of person that, I'm not going to go and lie down for days at a time. I've got young kids. I don't feel like that's a good thing for me. I have this kind of like innate, intuitive feel as to what to do. And often I find that actually just keeping on going is the best thing to do, as best as I can. And so I do that. And I kind of know now that my perspective is skewed and not to take the way that I see the world and my thoughts about myself and the world literally or seriously. So I just wanted to share that to kind of put a bit of a background. With that in mind, this little oracle came along and it's called the Inner Compass Oracle. And I genuinely believe that the reason these things are coming up are because I need to process them. I need to find meaning. Also, when I adopted some of these thoughts I would say, what they say about perimenopause as being the second puberty or something along those lines. Well, when I went through puberty in my life, it was a really dark and difficult place. And I kind of feel like they're coming up for me to process that and to find who I really am authentically, in a grounded, meaningful way. And I like the name The Inner Compass because I feel like there's this inner guide that we all have inside of us that is pointing the way, including bringing these kind of feelings up. This is just I'm not a therapist, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a psychologist. It's just how I intuitively feel about what I'm going through. And for other people, it might not be the case at all. But for me, I really think it is. So I thought, right, I'm going to get out this little oracle because I was in the midst of this really difficult time only a couple of days ago, and I thought, this is it. I'm going to spend some time with these cards. So I really want to enjoy some tea. As I go through this. So the first question, I just decided to draw like one guidance card. And I thought I had a very good sense of humor. Like I just wanted like one main guidance card about, what I'm going through. And I got the challenge card. You gotta laugh when the oracle is being just literal and perhaps a bit cheeky. And I thought, well, no shit, yes, I am going through a very challenging time. There's this lady here, and she's obviously doing some sort of juggling act, some acrobatic act. So she's keeping things going, but it's not easy perhaps, or it's something that requires a lot of effort and attention and perseverance, persistence, what have you. All right, so this was the first card, and I thought, well, I clearly need to define my questions a bit more rather than just get a general guidance card. So off I went, and I decided to draw 2 more cards, this time looking at specific questions. The first one was what to do, and the second one was what not to do. Okay, here we go. So what to do? I got change. And then what not to do? I got communication, which initially the second card did not make sense. However, because the first card made perfect sense, I knew I had to sit with this. You always have to sit with the cards that don't make sense. Honestly, that's kind of like the only advice. If I had to give one advice, that would be it. Sit with the cards that don't make sense. Because, of course, what to do, it's a card of change, of course, and it's telling me that I am changing, or I need to change. I have to change. There's just, it's what it is. I loved this image of this, looks like a house with this moon in the background and this bird soaring. And then I came to what not to do, and I looked at the card of communication, and initially I thought, well, this is kind of telling me not to talk about it, like don't communicate. But it didn't really make sense. I mean, to be honest, I am like that anyway. I know people say, oh, you've got to talk about things and this and that, but if you're introverted, or if you just have this sort of temperament like mine, you're not going to go and talk about these sort of things with anyone, or even close friends. It's hugely personal, and I don't like that kind of oversharing stuff, like I'm on the Oprah show. I find that really just distasteful. It's just not my thing. Okay, like if other people enjoy that, that's great, but that's just not me. But then when I put these side by side, there are two things that struck me about these cards. This is a whole image on the left on what to do. This is a split image, right? There's a split here. There's a division, clearly. The second thing was that the first card on what to do has this bird soaring up high and flying free. The second image on what not to do has three birds on a line, all chatting together. And to me, this was really important. I felt like it's telling me on what to do was to be myself, authentic, and fly high and be free. Freedom, reach high, aim high, whatever. What not to do, we're talking about, when sparrows or groups of birds, you see a flock and they're all chitty-chatty, there's that kind of really high energy, vocal kind of communication that they do. To me, this reminds me of kind of like chatter and gossip and that sort of communication or catch-up that amounts to nothing. Ultimately, it doesn't have substance to it. That's what came to mind, that ultimately, this amounts to kind of nothing, but this is what to do. So this is how I interpreted these cards, and then they made perfect sense for me, okay? So, it kind of, this reading was really important for me. Particularly the fact that this is not a split image, but this is kind of like telling me not to split into different parts of myself. There's the nature part, and then there's the, busy with everyone else part, whereas this is more integrated. Okay, so that was great. Then I drew two more cards and I asked what helps for the first card and what obstructs or what doesn't help. So what helps? I got manifestation. So manifesting things in my own life. I also thought that with this card, what helps is also prayer, solitude, meditation, simply because of this really peaceful, composed posture of, I believe this might be quite Kuan Yin, I'm not entirely sure. And also having hope with the star above. Right, so that's what helps. And then when I looked at what doesn't help, I actually got guide. And again, the second card didn't quite make 100% sense. But when I thought about it, I felt like this is something outside of me. Like I'm looking for universe guidance, or I'm looking to find my way through the maze, and that's not helpful. I don't need to do any of that, because what it's really saying is that what I'm searching for is within me, and not looking within the outside or trying to solve a puzzle or a riddle. That's what I got from these two. Now, the fourth and final spread that I did was I decided to draw 3 cards on where this journey of going through perimenopause and menopause will take me. And this was by far the most potent reading. The first card, I got Wish, the Wish card. You see that there? This is telling me that I need to literally think about my wishes and what I want to manifest. What's dear to my heart. What wish do I need to put down on paper, to describe, to visualize, to bring to consciousness? That's really important. Okay. And you might think, well, that's easy, or how come you haven't done it already? But actually, for me at least, it isn't, because as the saying goes, be careful what you wish for. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't make wishes. It just means that you gotta know really well what you're wishing for and why you're wishing for that. All right. So that's the first card. The second card of where this journey will take me, I got is Balance. So this was really, really important to see this. It's telling me that while this is a really difficult journey at times, it ultimately leads to a sense of balance. Okay. Yeah, I really, really like that. And finally, the third card of where the journey will take me, I got the Inner Vision card. The gift of inner vision, inner sight. And for a tarot reader, I think to see this there was so, so beautiful and moving for me as well. This trio of these 3 cards was really, really potent, and I think it's telling me to continue working with tarot, to continue, developing my gift or my sight in this area. I think, it is quite a journey. It's not something that I can say, oh, that's easy for me. I've talked about this before. At times it can be challenging, having that or embodying that as well, as a reader, and really trusting the intuitive process when reading the cards. Now, obviously I do readings for other people, and I know the value that I bring. I'm not doubting that per se. I kind of feel like the whole purpose of this whole journey is to integrate me into becoming that. Whereas right now I'm still split into, that kind of left brain, right brain work. So part of my work is the conventional work of consulting and that kind of stuff, which serves a purpose. But then this other side of me, which is deeply into tarot, astrology, nature magic, pagan rituals, altar work, all that sort of beautiful stuff. So anyhow, I really wanted to come on here and share this, not just because, what I'm going through, I know that every woman goes through at some stage, if we are lucky enough to arrive at this stage in life. But what I have seen is women who deny this opportunity to grow, run away from it, medicate themselves to the smithereens, whether with legal or illegal drugs. And, like kind of like anything to face the darkness, anything to face, to not have to face pain or difficulty. And I understand there might be an element of self-preservation there, because sometimes when you sit at the edge of the abyss and you see the precipice in front of you, the fear of falling into that and never returning to the world as it is can be quite palpable. But personally, I don't think running away from this or, medicating it or anything like that. And hey, no shade on people that choose that. It's just, for me, I know that is not the way, and it will ultimately lead me to a very unfulfilled place. So I've loved working with this oracle so far. I guess I wanted to also share, working with an oracle deck as opposed to a tarot deck, which is my normal go-to. Tarot is my normal first port of call. Working with these sort of questions or challenges, and I've absolutely loved how beautiful and supportive this deck was. So with that being said, thank you so much. If you're still here, thanks for being here with me all the way to the end. Thank you for supporting my channel and watching my videos. Until my next video, take care.